When you've got a lava and half your loons left at the end of your Lavaloon drop, you know you're doing pretty well. This is an insane raid from Dr. Loraxdooper from Exodias. Same format as usual, music first, strategy second.
Everything changes.
Life. Life.
I'll just preface this by the base design is really difficult right now in terms of avoiding a 3-star. So you know, it's probably a decent base, but you've just got to be, you can't make any error at all, I think, if you're going to avoid a 3-star at the moment. So I'll go through the basic structure here and what I think's weak about it, and then we'll look at you know, how they took it apart. So first, if you look at the base in the middle, it doesn't have a lot of DPS, and the DPS is concentrated on this side. So you've got bow, Tesla, I think there's a Tesla here and a Tesla here. So you can see that on this side of the base, you've really got one bow and one Tesla. And the thing about it is all the defense damage is in one little spot. So if you can get your queen to, you know, work her way through this spot of the base, basically you've got the base almost naked of damage. You know, they might get a little bit of cannon damage here, maybe some cannon damage here if it gets in range, but there's almost no damage if you wipe out that section of the base. And this is something people really need to look at very carefully, which is as buildings go down, what's the base look like? Because that's what, you know, that's what gives the hybrid a lot of time to survive. And this attack just systematically takes out the damage in this part of the base, leaves the base almost naked for damage in that part of the base, and so it's got plenty of time just to work through to the inferno. So so that's one thing about this base, is I think there's an issue with the balance and the level of DPS coming out of the middle, and also the fact that they put all the damage in one spot, and so the queen can just sort of take out that spot and really leave the base exposed in that area. Second thing about this base, and I'll keep commenting on it, really spread perimeter buildings. You can see they use that in this raid really well to just pick off some free buildings cheaply, and that buys, you know, more time for the queen for the hybrid. Look, my read on air defense at the moment is the key to air defense is winning the hybrid. If you lose your hybrid, your base is gone. So which I think sort of changes things a bit. So you almost got to be defending hard like a good, you know, heroes, 2 golem, couple of wizards hybrid. That's what you're really defending against. And so and that's what people need to pay the attention, because if you lose an Inferno and an AD, or dare I say it, 2 ADs in that hybrid stage, your base is gone. So you've got to win that stage of the defense. So issues with this base: spread perimeter, the DPS allocation and the level of DPS coming out of the center, and the concentration of damage in just one section of the base. I think they're the 3 main issues with this base. Now, I really love this hybrid in terms of like many dimensions of it, except for probably the timing of the king ability. But in terms of watching this raid, 3 things I want you to focus on. First is just look at the way the person uses wizards to direct the queen in terms of walking around the base. Second thing is, and I think this is one of the really important skills in any hybrid, which is look at the timing of the drop of the wall breakers, and how the person times the drop of the wall breakers so they open the pocket that they want to. The third thing I think you want to have a look at is have a look at the way the person uses the jump, because in terms of this attack, what's critical is the person targets the queen on this is the damage producing buildings of the base, and the person targets the queen, so they sort of effectively walk along here and run back around and finish on the Inferno at the end of the hybrid stage. First, let's look at how the attack uses the wizards to sort of drive or to direct the queen around the base. And what the attacker is going to try and do is going to try and direct the queen around in a sort of a semicircle here, take out the perimeter damage here, so take out this 200 DPS early, then route it around here, take out 100 DPS here, 100 DPS here, 80 here, and then that basically leaves you with the Inferno in terms of the defense buildings producing all the damage. So let's have a look at how it's done. So firstly, it takes the free building, drops the golem. The golem's originally only under 100 DPS. When it hits the wall, it's under 1, 2, 300, maybe 380 DPS. So it gets up there pretty quickly. But drops the wizards very early and drops 2 wizards either side. And what the attacker is doing here wants to take out this building, and I'll explain why this mine here. Otherwise, the queen might get drawn up this way. And so drop 2 wizards. So that way the golem doesn't take too much damage and clears what he needs to fairly quickly, so the queen will route this way. So let's have a look. So wizards taking this out, 1 shot on that because the wizard's taken that out. 2 wizards go over here to take the mine. The cannon will inflict some damage on the wizards, but they'll take down the mine here. Now the critical part of the white raid is once the gold store is down. Now this is important in terms of thinking about where the queen's going to go. And I need your help for what ultimately happens. I have no idea why the queen ends up going where it does, but here's the way I understand it. So now the queen, the thing to remember in assessing what's closest is when you're going spaces this way or this way, spaces count as 1. Any diagonal space counts as 2. So between here and here, you got 1, 2. Or 1, 2 in terms of going across. So the question is, so what's the closest building to the queen? So the queen's going to take down the arch tower. What's next? Well, how close is the AD? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces away for the AD. How close is the whiz tower? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces. And if you look where the mine was, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spaces. Now I'm not sure if the queen, so let me check that. 1, maybe 8 actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so the queen is in a really interesting position where once this arch tower goes down, it's actually within 3. It's got 8 spaces away, 3 different buildings. So I don't know how the AO sort of picks which one it goes to there. I think it's slightly to this side, and so I would say it's going to go to the whiz tower, providing I would wonder whether it would go to this mine over here, given there's no wall. But what actually ultimately happens is bizarre. But clearly by taking that mine down, there's less risk of the queen walking that way, and so that's why it makes sense to take that down. And so the Queen takes down the arch tower and then does something bizarre. So the pocket's been opened here, but you'll see what actually happens. The Queen targets, of all things, the mortar. So if anyone can add to comments why the Queen targets the mortar when it's definitely not the closest building, I'd love to know. But the Queen actually targets the mortar there, and you can see takes down the mortar, takes down the whiz tower, and then sort of paths through here. So the key, what I wanted to show there is just look at the way they've used enough wizards to take down the buildings that could send the Queen in the wrong direction. So they've used a wizard to take down these two buildings here, and taken a wizard to take down these two buildings here, and that way the Queen will go here, here, move into here, and then route through here is the plan. And so that's the first bit of the hybrid to have a look at. The second bit of the hybrid I want to have a look at is just look at the wallbreaker AI, because this is a critical skill in terms of opening up the right pocket when you're doing raids. Now, the way I understand the AI works at the moment is the wallbreakers will target the closest building that's pocketed. So here you can see this building's down, and so they drop the wallbreakers here. The closest building that's pocketed is the whiz tower there, so they will target while that building's up. So before the Queen takes that down, the wall breakers will target this join here, and that'll pop this pocket. So that's important understanding in terms of when you're actually thinking about when you're dropping your wall breakers. Like if there was a building here, the wall breakers would target here. So if just say this pocket was full, you'd have to let this building, if there was a building on the corner here, you'd have to let that building get destroyed by the Queen before dropping your wall breakers. Otherwise the wall breakers would open this pocket and this pocket, and that wouldn't allow you to clear out the DPS over here as easily. So let's have a look at that. They come in and boom, opened. Now the third bit of this raid I want to have a look at is just look at the targeting of the jump here. So the golems come through, clear these two defences, they'll draw the king and the queen. He'll drop the king, beautiful piece of timing. As soon as the CC's engaged, I think it's a pretty good rule. As soon as the CC's engaged, drop your king then, because that way usually you can zap the CC before the king actually hits or the melee, and that way you've got pretty much a full king to take care of a fair bit of the base at the time. So you can see the queen's working through here. Now what I love about this jump is by dropping it there and having opened this pocket and dropping it there, the queen will clear out this pocket and probably take down those two buildings, and then effectively this is one big pocket. So the queen will wander across here, and with all the DPS taken out, would effectively that part of the base naked of any defense at the time, the queen can just wander across here and in a leisurely way take out that inferno, and the hybrid gets completed. So just a beautiful piece of direction, rather than dropping it here, in which case the queen might wander down here, dropping it so this pocket does not get opened, and therefore the queen will wander along this way and work its way towards the inferno. Look at the zap. Now what you'll see is the CC comes out here, targets the two golems, you've got the queen in here, you've got the king in here. And what he does is he drops the zap over this side, and you'll notice that one bolt here goes here, and I think you've got 4 bolts this side, 1 bolt this side, and this is where I'm getting to. Look, I don't think the bolts are random, I think they fall troop side. For the most part, and just have a look at how the zap falls. You can see he waits for the CC to come in, and it'll drop the zap to the left hand side, and most of the bolts will fall to the right. So have a look. So drops the zap here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see that the zap landed here, and 4 bolts here, 1 bolt here. So and you can see that wiped most of the CC, so very, very effective there. The other thing I'll just touch on, I mentioned that I thought the king could have been used a bit later. The king was, I think, at reasonable health. Maybe I got this wrong. No, yeah, the king's at. Let's have a look. The king's okay. The king's at reasonable health here when he uses the CC ability. I don't think there's anything left. So he could have to let the king go a bit longer and clear some out before he used the king ability. I think he was probably a bit early on the king ability there, and it would have been nicer to let the king clear out some buildings and maybe even trigger the big bomb before the actual king went off. As it was, it didn't matter because this whole part of the base is cleared out. You can see queen working her way through, suffering very little damage, and can clear the inferno pretty easily. Lavaloon drop. Now you notice in terms of the base here, if the lava comes across to here, the loons are exposed to the wizard tower. So what he does is he drops his balloons first so they can start their way in, then drops the lava second, and that means the loons get a bit closer to the wiz tower, and the lava still takes all the fire, but it means the loons are closer to the wiz tower by the time they hit the wiz tower. So they'll still take some damage, but they'll probably survive in terms of that. But what I want to show about this raid is look at the way he protects his balloons through using his drop timing on the balloon. So let's see, so he's dropped 3 balloons and the lava. You can see the balloons first, not the lava first, so that way the balloons get a chance to get that little bit closer to the wizard tower before the lava pops out of range of the wizard tower. So it draws the wizard tower fire. So he then takes another angle through here in case there's any bombs, and another angle through here, and what he's doing there is drawing all of the fire of the archer tower here, also the wizard tower here, and the bow. So it draws all the fire on this part of the base onto the 3 lavas, and that way his balloons suffer very little damage, just a little time where the wiz tower exposes some of the loons. So this way the loons are surviving for the second part of the range. So finally you can see they come out of range here, but those balloons will come and take out that wizard tower. But the lavas are drawing all the fire at this stage, and all of these balloons are getting off scot-free. Everything's hitting the lavas. So there's a really good raid through here. Nice to include the bow because it's a high hit point building, and that's one you want to take down quickly. To focus on, just look at how he times the loon drops along this side. Of course, he's going to drop balloons targeting each of the defense buildings, and I think he drops 1 balloon here to draw the wizard tower fire, and he does it really well. But look at what he does is he waits till this air defense goes down. The lavas come across, draw all the fire, and once the lavas have drawn all the fire from these 2 archer towers and this AD, then he, as soon as they're engaged, then he drops the balloons coming at the various defences, and that by doing that he makes sure that these balloons don't take the AD and archer tower fire, and that way the loons are preserved for the last bit of the raid. So just have a look at this. So you can see the drops onto the wiz tower here, but the wiz tower is shooting the lavas. The air defense goes down. The lavas come across here, and as these 2 lavas take all the fire, and then he drops these 2 balloons coming at the various defences there, but you can see they're not taking any fire at this stage because the lavas are there, and therefore he's got all of these balloons for the last bit of the raid to take out the rest of the base. So that's how he's, you can see he's finished with a lava in the end, and I think he's finished with 12 balloons of 20. So by protecting his balloons really well, he's finished with tons and tons of balloons, and that's a really classy loon drop, and that's something we all should try and copy in terms of the timing. You want to have more balloons at the end, that's how. So just coming and finishing the raid, and just a fantastic 3-star for Dr. Loraxdooper.